According to my own little classification system, the fillets come in three basic shapes depending on where they were cut from on the whole side of fish. Here's what I call the car shape. See, it's like a little hatchback. Beep, beep! Those are usually my favorite. Then you'll get some thinner, more even pieces like these. I call those flat pieces, and then there's the tail piece, which you can spot by its taper. I'm going to start with a stainless steel pan. Not my favorite choice, you'll see why. Medium heat, a little salt and pepper, and I love garlic powder. I love it generally, but I especially love it on salmon. It goes perfectly, and while it would burn at the temperatures at which you'd sear beef or pork, it kind of browns and goes toasty at the precise temperature at which I like to brown salmon anyway. So big fan of garlic powder here. Little olive oil in the pan, and you can see it shimmering there, but it's not smoking much. That temperature is perfect. I like to cook my salmon most of the way on the flesh side. A lot of people do the opposite. They want to crisp the skin. I usually don't eat the skin, so I don't care. And salmon flesh gets such a delicious crust on it if you let it brown, slowly but thoroughly. Here's another reason salmon is easy. It's got a window. You just look at the side, that cut cross-section. I like to flip the fish when I can see from the color change that it's cooked halfway through at most. But since I'm using a steel pan, I've got to worry about sticking. I don't want to flip this until the crust is set enough that it won't stick and break when it's time to flip. And by the time I had the courage to do so, yeah, it was a hair burned. And even then, it still stuck and got a little bit beat up. I'm not a fan of sticky pans for fish fillets. Now, I would normally just give this another minute or two on the skin. I want to pull it when that window on the side still looks a hair raw at the very center. But this I'm going to deliberately overcook. I'm waiting until that cross-section has fully changed color. And oops, the skin stuck. That's what I mean when I say the skin comes off way more easily after it's cooked. Some people love to eat that, by the way. It's worth a shot, even if you're skeptical. Okay, now this is what overcooked salmon looks like inside. See how it kind of crumbles? But here's the thing, that's still pretty good. You can get away with overcooking salmon a bit because the fat melts and compensates for the water loss. That fish is still moist. Let's try again though, and this time we'll use a Teflon pan. This is certainly the easiest option if you're not feeling confident. Heat it to medium, a little olive oil. This time I'm using the tail piece. The tail pieces and the flat pieces are good because they're of pretty even thickness, which means they'll cook evenly if you're into that. I can tell that my heat is a little too low there. It's not sizzling. I think you want a mild sizzle with salmon at all times. I'm looking in my fish window again, and when I can see that the heat has moved almost halfway up, I will flip. And look how easy that was with a nonstick pan. Fish and eggs, that's what these things are great for. You can also see into the interior of the fish in those little fissures on top, visibly raw on the inside. But this time I'm going to deliberately undercook it. Out it comes. Let it rest a sec, and here you can see it flaking instead of crumbling. It's warm, but basically raw at the center. My wife would call that undercooked. I'd actually call it perfect. That is delicious to me. If there was bacteria on this thing, it would be on the surface, which we cooked and therefore sterilized. The major pathogen concern on the interior of salmon is parasites, which are killed by the freezing process, so I'm good with this. But this time, let's try to nail it, and I'll use my well-seasoned cast iron pan this time. This is an option if you don't want to use Teflon. Olive oil is shimmering, but not yet smoking. That's perfect, and this time I'm cooking the car piece, which is my favorite. Why is it my favorite? Because it's of uneven thickness. I like rare salmon. I like well-done salmon. It's all good, and this gets me a sampler of all of those tastes in one portion. Plus, the thinnest part there, that's from the belly, which has proportionally more fat, so it actually does well to be overcooked. It kind of fries from the inside. It's like this fish was evolved to be cooked. You can see this still kind of stuck on me. I'm not super confident with cast iron. Maybe you can do it better. And then right after flipping, something you can do is drop in some butter for basting. I also like to squeeze in some lemon juice at this point. It'll cook a bit, which will mellow it slightly. Between that and the butter, you end up getting something that tastes like a beurre blanc sauce, and it took almost no work. Little basting with a spoon, and when the salmon window on the side there still looks a little raw in the center, I'll pull it out. A little steamed broccoli on the side, and that's all I need for dinner. This is a very frequent weeknight meal in our house. Quick, easy, and good for you. Seriously, if you're scared of cooking fish, give salmon a try. You almost can't screw it up.